piece of ash, and as you can see, I don't mark any of the centers or anything. I just come in and I look at across here, and across here lines up with the chuck, and does this look even, and does this look even? And that's close enough to the center. Lock our tailstock in, and now we're going to round this out. To do that, I'm just going to use a wore out bowl gouge. Bring our speed up to where we don't have any vibration. Okay, let's take a look. Looks like we need to tighten it up a little bit more. Okay, I've got kind of a big bark inclusion coming in here that I think I'm going to take off, so I'm just going to use this part down here. I've got one down here, but we're going to round the bottom. So we're getting close to our size down here. Oh, that bark inclusion's still in there. Okay, so we're going to have to go a little bit smaller. I need a tenon on this here. So get me a good tenon going there. Now we can start the top. And let's see how we're doing on our bark. We're doing good there. We got a flat spot there. I need to go a little bit more there and a little bit more there. Looks like we need to retighten again a little bit. Let's move our tool rest in. Okay, let's switch over to a spindle gouge. I'm down pretty well here to the bark, and I'm down pretty well here to the bark. So we'll go to a 3/8 inch spindle gouge. And then we'll take this end. and go right up. Now we're going to part it off. And let's do this one the safer way. We'll come in with our saw, and we can now take out our chuck. We now take our spur drive out. We'll mount this in the chuck. Get our tailstock out of the way. And now we're ready to start hollowing the inside of this. We're going to crank the speed up, and I'm just going to use my 3/8 spindle gouge. Start out a little low and just kind of raise it up. And then we can turn it at our 45. And come back. Alright, we need to look at about how deep we're getting. We can also come in with a 35 here. And let's see where we're at there. That looks like about the depth we want. So from there I'm going to go to a round nose scraper. And notice I'm coming into this side and just taking little short bites. And I'm trying to follow the inside of this. Now I'm getting more down into the bottom. Trying to keep track of how far I'm going over to the side. Go for depth. Now you notice that we are hanging quite a bit of tool over that tool rest, so we've got to take small bites. Okay, we're getting some of the sky. Another thing that helps is to clean that sawdust out of there. We can do that with the air hose. Back in there, work on that bottom. Now, as you notice, I'm trying to come up this side now and get it evened out. Let's stop and take a look. Boy, our thickness is doing good. I've got a good thickness. I've got a little nub in the bottom I want to get rid of. Start low and kind of come up on it. Kind of smooth that side out a little bit. Base done. Okay, now is what I like to use is a Berdan tool. I've got my opening set, and I've got a flat spot here on the end, right here. And then I want to come in and I want to cut just a small recess area. As you can see, I now have a flat here, and then I have a recess here, but I still have material left inside. So we're done with our vase portion. Back to our spur drive. Bring our tailstock back. Lock it in place. Okay, to set our blank in, I just kind of come in and look here that this is about halfway on the chuck. Turn it 90 degrees. This is halfway. I look here, start it in a little bit. That looks halfway. That looks halfway. That's close enough for center. Okay, so we're tightening our tailstock down. Bring our tool rest in. And we're going to round this out. Again, I'll use my bowl gouge. And we need a tenon on this end. Put that in our chuck. Just make sure the tenon is not too long that it doesn't bottom out in the chuck. Mount our piece of walnut in the chuck. Let's get our tool rest a little closer. Now we're going to face off the end. Now is what I use is the Berdan tool, and is what I need to do is I need to come in here and get an in turn. If I set the tool rest out far enough that I can get the vase in there, then I can come in, kind of do a little, see where I'm at. And what we're doing is we're trying to get a fit, see that that vase will sit on there by itself. Alright, as we can see, my tenon is too long, so let's go in and take the length of that tenon down just a little bit. Try that again. Maybe by the time I clean up. Is what we want that to do is we want that to bottom out in this rim plus fit on the face is what we're shooting for. I can still see just a little bit of a gap right down in there. I need to take the tenon just a little bit shorter. I think about right there. And now I fit tight on this rim, plus I'm bottomed out in the tenon now. And as you'll see later when we start cleaning the inside of this, I don't want to show a gap. I don't want to show a gap between my walnut and my ash inside the vessel. I want that to be tight too. So we're doing good there. Now I need to think about how long I want this. And I think I want about, we'll say out to there. And I want this to flare out, I think. So I want to start out and just change woods right there and have this flare out. In fact, I may just roll a bead right there on that. Have a little bead and then have this flare out. So I can take some of this wood out inside of this. To do that, we can do it like hollowing out a vase. We can come in, or another thing we can do is we can go in with a parting tool and just part it off inside. So let's do that. I need to get that tool a little bit lower so that the cutting edge is running about center. And you may have to widen that out. As you can see, I've went in about that deep with my parting tool, so I'm out to about here. And come out here and part this off, and this is only going to part in. And let's use the saw again, just to keep that piece from flying on us. I can chuck this big block into the lathe, and then I can come back in from this side with my parting tool. Okay, so there was the piece then that came out of the center. Alright, so I've got the size now for my flared top. Okay, so there we go. This now will fit right on there. We've got no gap in there, and I've got enough that I can flare that out. I'm still chipped out down here, but I'm going to cut some of this off the bottom anyway. And I can narrow that out a little bit. That's not a big deal. So what we'll do now is we'll glue the two together. To glue these together, I'm just going to use Titebond 2. And I'm going to put a good bead around the outside here. And then I want to get the actual face, since we're gluing that too. From there, I'm just going to put my two together. Give it a little twist, and we'll just let that set and dry. We could clamp it if we want. Alright, to clamp that, we'll just bring the tailstock up inside of there, and then we can use the tailstock pressure to clamp it and let it sit there for about 20 minutes to dry. We've been about a half hour on our glue joint. Let's go ahead and take our tailstock out of the way. And now, as we said, we want to curve this in, and then we're going to put a little bead down here. Alright, let's get our tool rest set. We'll start out with a 3/8 inch spindle gouge. And let's work on the little bead down here at the end first. And we'll just start out and we'll just roll the tool right around. Alright, we'll just start out to the front, and then we'll just roll the tool, move the handle off to the rear of the handle off to the left here, and we can come right down in to that tight little V. We can clean this up. And roll it in there, and as you'll see, we should have a nice perfect joint there now. Now we'll go ahead and roll our bead out the other way. We want to take a bunch of this away. And decide how big of a bead we want on that. As you can see, we're watching the top up here for what we're doing in the shape. Roll that tool right around, moving the handle. the rear handle off. We can come in here with the back side and kind of do a little straight. Now we want to come from the outside edge, and we want to taper back in, flare it back into the bottom of that bead. Just like that. We're trying to get that as smooth and nice as we can. Come back out. Just clean off the edge of our... So we've got a pretty good shape going there. This edge right here and this edge don't quite line up, so I think I want to take just a little bit more right down here. Now those two seem to line up better. We can come and back drag our tool by Alright, we'll bring our tool rest around. Again, I'm going to use the 3/8 inch spindle guide. I'm going to back drag it out. Come clear down inside and see where we're at. We can go clear down in so we're getting our transition. And then this, we just want to follow right on around like that. Let's check our thickness. We're still a little thick right in here. Let's go through our little strip. That's getting down to about where I want it. We'll just roll that right around and come right on around here. Let's check our overall depth, and we're down to about there. So that means I need this, so I'm going to have to taper that down, and I'm pretty sure I left enough wood down there to do that. So let's move our tool rest around a little bit. I got a little bit of a bad spot there, so we're going to taper this whole end down. We're going to our parting tool, right down here close to the set. We'll taper that a little bit. Take a little bit of that out. Let's see where we're at now. Okay, I've still got a little bit of it left, so I need to taper just a little bit more. And now we've gotten rid of that. So now let's go do some sanding. We'll start out with some 120. We'll slow things down to about 700, 800. We'll start here on the inside. Catch that. We'll come in here and get this. And we need to sand until we don't see any more stripes, streaks, whatever you want to call it. That's telling me that we've got a low spot yet when we still have a streak. So we just keep sanding until we get rid of those. And if you have to take too long getting rid of them, then go to a larger plant. If it takes too long to get rid of the marks, go to a coarser sandpaper. It's always easier to back up to a coarser than to waste all your time trying to do it with a finer sandpaper. There's no big thing about being able to say I started off at 220 instead of started off at 120. Doesn't make any difference. Many times you'll find that starting off with the coarser grit, you'll get there a whole lot faster in the end. Alright, right now I can see a streak right here yet. And this is with the 120. And as you can see, it's taken me a little while to get that off of there. But that streak is pretty well smoothed out now. So we finish up with a 120. We'll go to some 150. And again, we're watching for those streaks to start showing up. I don't see any in there. I'll come and get this section. I don't see any in there. We'll go down to the I don't see any there. And everything's starting to look pretty good. Jump up to some 180. You see, it doesn't take long with each grit, because all you have to do is remove those sanding marks from the previous grit. You see a little bit of a streak right in there, and that just came out, and up to some 300. And 300's about all I normally go on this stuff. So we're ready to put some finish on. And again, I'm using the hospital washcloths. A little bit of finish on there. I'm using Armor Seal again. Getting down inside there. We'll get a little bit on the outside. And as you can see, that walnut's just starting to show up beautiful. Now the hard part is getting down in these little grooves and stuff we've got here. That's not bad. We just kind of crease our towel up and wipe right down in there. Get down in that one. Kind of make sure our finish is even overall. We can turn that by hand as we check that finish. Make sure we don't have any runs on the inside here. Everything's looking pretty good up to here. Now we can come in and start putting finish on this side on our ash. And as you can see, we're getting a nice finish there. Make sure we get into that groove. Make sure we don't have any runs in the finish. Just a little turning by hand here. Even it all out. And we're ready to part it off. So we can come down here, is what I'll do is I'll just put a hand inside and kind of hold it here. Get my parting tool in there. We're just taking it slow and easy. Now, if you're afraid you're going to tear it off at the bottom, you can go in and cut it with your hacksaw again, or you can go in and take it off with the parting tool if you feel like you can get a good cut that way. I usually have good luck with just the parting tool. working it down a little bit at a time, we end up with our little nub on the bottom, and I just go in with my carving knife and take that off. And then the thing we can do is we can hit it with our disc sander, or we can just hit it lightly with our drill sander. Take our finishing rag, put a little finish on the bottom, kind of wipe up the sides here where we've gotten sawdust on it. And there we have our vase made out of 2 different types of wood. I don't know if we can see down inside of it, but I've got a nice transition on the inside where I went from one wood to the other, and as you can see, I've got a nice perfect fit up there. But our nice cute little vase.